Welcome to the Suffer Sooner podcast. Follow along with three average people doing some above average things. We have jobs, families, and we enjoy pushing ourselves to be the best that we can be in gravel, triathlon, and endurance sports. We've made mistakes, conquered what was once impossible to us, and pushed through barriers to come out the other side stronger, smarter, and more willing to find the truth in the dark places that only suffering can take you. Sometimes in life you have to be willing to push yourself in an attempt to get it over faster, and thus you may just have to suffer sooner. Welcome to episode 8. This time we are going to talk about our favorite top gear that we like to use for gravel and triathlon, and then plus some gear that we've bought along the way that we didn't really like to use, that didn't work out and make us faster like we thought it did. Unfortunately, we are not joined with going to be joined with Serena today. She had some stuff come up and she had to take kids to practice and do her real life job stuff. So unfortunately she won't be here with us, but I'm sure in a later podcast we'll get her favorite gear and some gear that she's bought and that she doesn't like. But on to just me and Danny for the first part. So
I know.
how's it going, Danny?
Everybody's got to deal with just us today. I mean, I'm
know.
I'm going to apologize in advance. Everybody has to listen to this. So, but no, you're right. I mean, it's tough. I mean, just like everything else, life gets in the way sometimes, and that's okay. Yeah, she's doing stuff that's more important than this, and that's good. But no, it's exciting. We're going to talk a bit about the gear, like you said, and I can tell you, we're going to get to some sections here later on. It's almost embarrassing, like the things that I bought, and I don't even want to admit it, and just like, why did I buy that? So,
it's the way it is, man. You fall into the hype train, and you
Is that what
feel
it
like,
is?
yeah, I mean, we see it every day on social media and stuff. My biggest thing is the hydrogen water stuff.
Yeah.
There's some other brands out there that I can I can quote, but you fall into the hype train and you believe that this is the one thing that's been missing from your training that is going to change your whole entire life. It's going to make you go from average to superhuman, and the only thing that's been proven to do that is anabolics. Sorry.
Where do I get those?
You get them off. You go to China and you get them off the internet, and
Yeah, right.
You're risking your health. I mean, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing in this sport is ever easy or free. So.
Well, I will say, it's kind of and not to get all philosophical, but it is kind of a thing with society, right? Everybody is busy. Everybody has the things they want to do, and as a result, you got a lot of folks that look for the easy button. It's like, what's the shortcut? How do I get there faster? And when you tell them, it's like, well, you got to put in all the work. I don't want to put all the work in. There's got to be an easier way, right? There's a faster way to get there. Like, no, you got to put all the work in. Like, well, I can't put all the work in. Like, there's got to be something.
Like,
Can't I just
be
buy
there?
speed?
But yeah, I want to be there, but I don't want to be there. Yeah. No, it takes years and years and years and years of work. So, but
does.
luckily, you have me and Danny who have put years and years of testing this stuff and putting it through the ringer, and we're going to come up with some of our favorite pieces of gear that I think is a good starting point for sure.
Yeah, I think the thing is, so it's gravel season, right? So if everybody that's been listening notices, we've talked a lot about gravel, and it's gravel season is here. It's right on us. I mean, we had a great time on some outdoor rides the last couple of weeks. We're going to go hit a couple more routes this weekend, and so it kind of got us thinking, right? Like, what are some of the top pieces of gravel gear that we've found, and so while some of it may be about making you faster, sometimes it's just about making the ride, something that you can actually enjoy the suffering. So Travis, what's some of the top gravel gear that you've come across?
I would say the first thing that I absolutely love, and I own 2 of these, and I even convinced you to buy one, your first Unbound, and was like, no, and everybody's like, oh, nothing new on race day. And it's like, no, this is, this can be new. This is fine. You'll be okay. Like,
I was nervous.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it all the time. Like, everybody's like, oh, don't try anything new. But these orange muds, and we're not sponsored by Orange Mud at all. So don't even, freak out. We pay full price for these. But these Orange Mud vests, I have one of these ones for running, and then I have one of them for cycling. I have this bigger version for cycling. And basically it's like you can put 2 liters, um, you can put a 2-liter bladder in here, and you can put 2 there's enough pockets up here for all your gels, your foam, your whatever you can need. It does whatever you need it to do. It's like carrying everything. So I use this primarily for gravel, and I used both my packs for Unbound. I used the 1-liter version for the first half of Unbound, 200 last year, and then I switched to the full 2-liter pack in the middle of the day when it was going to get hot. So
I think if I remember right, we kind of had the same strategy because I know I have 2 of these as well. I have one of the smaller ones and then one of the larger packs. Same kind of setup. And before this, I was using like a Camelback. I forget which model, but it was a typical Camelback. And don't get me wrong, it was fine. Obviously, it's a water pack, but what takes these, I think, to the next level is all that storage you talk about. It's like it's easy for me to keep track of. Oh, I have to have this pocket finished in the first hour to stay on track with my nutrition, and I get this pocket done in the next hour. And by the time I get to the first aid station or support station, I get to take the pack off and put a new pack on. Right? It's that
yep.
it's that simple. Like we talk about this a lot. Like keep it really easy. Don't overthink. You can't be in a situation where you overthink your strategy for nutrition. And oh my gosh, did I forget to take the gel? Like make it easy. And all the pockets just help you make it easy. And it stores everything in a way that it doesn't bounce around, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I agree, Travis. I think this when you told me to buy this, and they had them at the expo, I was a nervous wreck, and it's like really nervous over a water pack. Like, yeah, because like the last thing you need is to get a pack and then you start chafing and you get like, all that kind of stuff. You don't need that. But seriously, it was the greatest thing. And the only sad part about it for me was I didn't have more time to train with it because it would have made training a lot more enjoyable. And I would have, recognized, hey, this is the trick. This is how you use it. Yeah, great call out. This is like one of those that's easy to overlook because everybody's got their favorite of whatever brand. But if you're in the market for a new one of these, a new hydration pack, or you've never used one before, definitely would give one of these a shot.
Yeah. I used and then speaking of chafing, I mean I've ran multiple 3-hour days, um, training for marathons and stuff, with the small 1-liter vest one in the summer and no chafing. I get more chafing from my heart rate strap than I do from
Mm.
this vest. So
I ran a couple of 3-hour days in one of these too, but I only made it about 6 miles. So
eh. Oh, man.
I'll be here all week, guys. Be sure to
Yep.
tip your server.
Yep. All right. The
What
next
else?
one,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of I sweat so much. I'm such a big guy, so I got these 32-ounce water bottles, and just
I
an
remember
extra.
I remember when you pulled up with one of these the first time.
Yeah, and you were just like,
It's
"Holy
like
cow." And I was like, "Yeah, check
yeah,
these bad boys
yeah.
out."
Oh, you save some water for the rest of us?
Yeah. So the thing is like on these hot, when you're going through Kansas, there's no shade. And so you need I needed all the water on Unbound, that that, that second stretch
Mhm,
because I had 2 of these 1-liter bottles and then I had my 2-liter pack and I almost ran out of hydration
mm.
before it started raining. So, I mean, it was one of those things that, like, if I could have carried another bottle or something, I probably would have because I could have used it. It was
Yeah,
just
yeah. Well, and for those that aren't able to see the video, if you're not on YouTube and can't see the video, I mean, it's a standard water bottle, but a 32-ounce water bottle, and again, another simple piece of equipment that can have a dramatic effect. And your point, Travis, I mean, one of the worst things you can do is run out of hydration on a hot day. And we had no way to know that there was going to be a storm rolling in and cool everything down. But I mean, you had these, and you still had a close call. But I actually so once again, you bought these, and I was like, oh, might not be a bad idea. So I went out and bought a couple of them too, and I agree. I think they're awesome. And again, just they're what, 15, $16 and 15.95 on the website here, and they're it's an easy buy. So
Yeah, I've spent more on, getting like a Camelback insulated water bottle that are like $25 or whatever.
mhm.
But they're only, those guys are only like 24 ounces or 21
Mm.
ounces. They're not as big. And
What about insulation though? Yeah, do you find anything challenging? Like they're not insulated, so that's probably the one downside. But I mean, how do you, I mean, do you see that as
so
an
I
issue at
just
all?
drink warm water.
Yeah.
I mean, when you're thirsty and you're like, it's that old if you ever watched the show Goonies, it's like when Mikey asked the cartel lady if this is water, and she's like, "It's wet, ain't it? Drink it." It's like that's how I feel like
I
it's wet, isn't it? Just drink it.
I did
It's
not wake up today expecting to have a Goonies reference. So
Yeah, and that's
great one
how
to
old
pull
I
out.
am right there. But I mean, it's I know, and and people will give crap to other people for trying to have insulated water, water
Mhm.
bottles, and try to keep their stuff cold. And I guess you could freeze it, but I mean, you're talking about 3 hours in the heat
Yeah.
before, so I don't know how much it's going to be cool. So
The-
it's one of those things that I'm like, it would be nice if it was insulated, sure, but is it going to be make or break? No.
Yeah. How does it fit like in a standard for you? Because like for my bottle cages, the bottle cage I had on my gravel bike last year, I switched over to like the standard, like it's the king cage, which we're actually not going to talk about today, but the king cage is just a standard stainless, yeah, just like the image that you see here, and like it holds fine. Like it's not. You would think it might be a little top heavy and it's like slide around and bounce out. And I mean, these are the things you don't think about when you're buying stuff, and like when you actually put it into practice. Like for me anyway, I've never had issues with the bottle falling out of cages. I mean, how about you?
Yeah, when I would ride with the plastic cages or carbon fiber cages, they kind of just there's no like lip where it kind of
Mhm.
locks in like where the
Like
other
a standard
the
bottle. Mhm.
yeah, standard bottle has kind of like a lip. This is just one big cylinder. So I switched to aluminum cages, and I kind of just shove them in there, and then only on like the roughest of roads does it kind of bounce around, and sometimes it kind of gets a little skewed, but it hasn't.
Mm,
The thing is it's so long that my legs run into it and knock it back into place before
mm.
it has a chance to fly out.
Yeah.
So, like, you kind of feel it coming out. But I mean, it's never bounced out, and like I say, it just kind of goes a little bit of off center. But other
Yeah.
than that, like the back one never go. It's always
Yeah,
the
it's
one
not
on the
it's
down
always
tube
yeah.
that
Mhm.
that gets bounced around. So
Yeah, again, I think, this is like one of those things, like it's a very simple piece of gear and everybody's already got probably more water bottles than they ever need. I mean, I get in trouble all the time because I got water bottles,
oh,
filling
and I
up
pick a new
cabinets
one
and
up.
countertop space. Yeah.
Yeah, anytime we go anywhere, I pick a new one up. Like,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
if,
And
when we go to Emporia this year, I'll
guess what?
grab another one,
Another water bottle. Yeah. You
another
can't
water
ever have
bottle.
too many. I mean,
I know.
but yeah, it's again stuff that's easy to overlook, but I think it's great choice, especially on those hot days. So good stuff.
Yeah, and usually the way I see it is I usually can go about 750 milliliter bottles, like
Hmm.
which is like the 24-ounce bottles or whatever. I can usually do one of those an hour with hydration. So this gives me almost 3 hours of ride time.
Yeah.
So, and that's what you're going to want to like when you start planning of, how far do you need to go? What do you need to pack for some of these gravel events? It's like, well, how long are you going to be out there?
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, like, is it going to be 3 hours? Do you have enough, hydration for 3 hours, or is it going to be
Mhm.
4 hours? So,
Hey,
it's
so
just,
we're gonna bury a little training tip in here that we kind of stumbled on last year, right? With this type of bottle and just in general. So when we were talking about the nutrition approach for Unbound 200 last year, we were like, well, how are we going to carry all that nutrition? You don't want to carry like, sorry, I don't want to carry a case of granola bars on me. I mean, I know
I
you
did.
did. I know you did.
And I ate them.
Ate them all. That's a
And I
story in
ate them
itself.
all.
Yeah, you're listening to the guy that ate a case of granola bars, um, as his
Until it got
nutrition
too
plan
hot.
until it got too hot, and I'm like, so yeah, not the approach I was wanting to take, but I do admire your willingness to. But but we were talking about like, hey, how are we going to carry all this nutrition? Like, we do a lot of home mixes for nutrition. We use the sugar water recipes, things like that. But even if you want to use premix, store bought like Tailwind or one of those, um, these bottles, when you have a 32-ounce bottle, one of the things we kept thinking about is, well, how are we going to store all that? And mixing the powder, and then at the water station, like, the maltodextrin doesn't mix real well sometimes and all that. But we found if you make these up like the night before and you double concentrate your solution, your sugar water recipe, then you've basically almost, because these are 32 ounces, you've got almost um what, 3 bottles worth um of nutrition. So 3 hours worth of nutrition in one bottle.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it was a total, like, shift in, "Oh, so now we've got this," and you can take you can do it a couple different ways. You can do, like, a squirt of this and a squirt of regular water, or you can, you know, mix it on your own, whatever you want, but it just made it's like, wow, now all of a sudden I can carry 6 hours of nutrition and only need a bit of water on my pack, and I'm good.
Yep.
And
Which is
so it's just those are the time savers, right? Every
yeah,
time you
when it
stop at an aid station, you're 5-10 minutes minimum.
yeah, if
You
you're
know?
if you have to mix your own powders and stuff,
Yeah.
but if all you have to do is grab water, or
Oh, yeah.
you can even take, you let's say you've drank half that, concentrated bottle, and you're like, "You know what? I can put more water in there now," and
That's
you
right.
can just continue to drink more water. So, yeah,
I
we're
can
we're
already
gonna
hear it.
have a yeah,
I can
we'll
already
have a whole podcast on how we do
Yeah.
Unbound and on the sugar water and all that fun
Yeah.
stuff. But
Can't wait. I can't wait because I know that everybody's favorite thing is like, "Well, but I don't like the way it tastes."
yeah, that's one of my other favorites favorite sayings too.
Very good. All right. It's good stuff.
All
So
right.
a couple of real easy ones to knock out. What else we got?
Yeah. We got so you could use this for gravel, but I use this for triathlon.
Mm,
I use this. This is one of the new things that I got, and it was basically just so that I could put the water bottle up front, and then I would have, most of the time it's like when you're going through triathlon, you're doing a race. This would just be like a Gatorade bottle that they
mm.
hand out, like Gatorade Endurance, and that's what it would be up here. And then the rest that I'm taking with me is like my normal drink mix, with water and sugar water and whatever else, hydration mix
Mhm.
that I would need. So it's pretty
Yeah.
straightforward. It's nice. I didn't really use the Garmin mount because I just race with my watch on. I
Oh,
don't
you
put
don't
the
do the
Garmin on.
handoff thing with the Garmin and all that stuff?
No, that's a lot. I'm just that's just
Cool.
and then plus, I really love my Garmin, and I would really hate for something to happen to it on a
I hear you.
triathlon. So, um, my watch, that it does, and we'll talk about this too, is like race screens. Like, I only have two things on there, is
Mhm.
basically my 3-second average power, and then my average heart rate, and that's it. I don't really look at anything else.
Yeah.
I'm not my average heart rate. My basically my heart rate right now, and then the only thing I have my watch do is beep at me every 10 minutes to remind me to feed, and then it beeps at me every 5 miles with my lap time. That's it.
Mm.
That's all
And
it does.
and again, this is for folks that aren't seeing the video. This is, again, just basically just a simple water bottle mount that goes in between your aero bars. And I had a similar, I had a front hydration system for Ironman last year as well, and
I don't know if I can put it up.
it's okay. I mean, it's the profile design, but I think it's the FC35 was the name of it. And the it's an okay hydration pack or hydration system. It's more of that bullet style, and has just a reservoir, and you can get them in a couple different sizes. I think like 25 and 35 ounces, if I remember right.
Yep.
And I bought it because I was like, well, I've only got two bottles. on the inside the triangle of the bike, and then I got 2 bottles on the back of the bike. And I like to carry, I mean, it's, you know, this is where you kind of get into, well, if it's a long triathlon, then, do you want to carry water or just pick up at the aid station? If it's a short triathlon, one thing I learned about this thing was, if you're on a short course or even a half, like, I wouldn't even waste your time. Like, it's just not necessary. I mean, if you're getting the bike done in a few hours, you can carry that with basic water bottles and on course hydration. But for the full Ironman, I felt like, hey, I wanted to try to buzz through a couple of those water stations if I could. So I wanted to stretch out the hydration. And I'll tell you now, having kind of gone through all of it, I think I'd go with your setup, Travis. I think I'd just have a simple bottle carrier up front. And this is too complicated. That bullet system is a little too complicated. It's too much fidgeting. You're trying to squeeze water into the container while you're riding. It's just no, it's just too much, too busy. And my thought, one of the things I've learned over, the last few years now is like, keep your training and keep your efforts, keep everything simple. You're putting out enough effort, like your judgment starts to get clouded, and you start to forget how to do simple things, let alone complicated things. Keep it simple. And I think you had it right all along. Just put a simple water bottle up front and be done with it. Don't overthink this stuff. And that's what I think happened to me, is I overthought it. I was trying to make it too perfect instead of being good enough to get through what I need. So,
Yeah, I think if I was going to do that setup with, like you were talking, that full hydration system, I
mhm,
wouldn't be trying to fill it up at the aid stations. It would basically probably be like a mix in
mhm,
there, and then I would have maybe like a water bottle or space for like an extra holder for a water bottle at that I could grab from the aid station, and
mhm,
basically use that front tank as something where I would never have to break Aero and just keep hammering through the aid stations on like this. And I'm thinking like a half Ironman um, distance would be probably like the perfect thing for that, because then I would
mhm.
never, I would basically, by the time I was done draining that liquid cell, I'd basically be done with the bike portion.
Yep.
'Cause I mean, if you're looking at like 35 ounces, you're gonna go through, you know, 56 miles, 3
Mhm,
hours. You probably, look at, 14, 15, or what, 12 and a half ounces of mix per hour,
mhm.
plus, you're gonna grab a 12-ounce bottle. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably what I would do.
Yeah. We're talking about the front side of the bike, but, and the hydration side, but then there's also the back side of the bike, which is, you see all kinds of setups and tri bikes, which is good, because you like to see everybody that kind of, that kind of, uses their experience to sort of, find the configuration that works for them. And I'll tell you, I think, as far as rear hydration goes, I think you've got one that I know you like, and then I'll kind of talk a bit about some of the setup that I had.
Yeah, so I use the Profile Design one,
Okay.
just because it fits my bike, and I
Hmm.
and I don't have these if anybody's looking, it's the RML one. It was like, it's like $70, but I took off the plastic cages and I put aluminum ones in, because
Hmm.
you can, some of the courses, especially at like Chat, they have railroad tracks, and a lot of people eject bottles
It's like a
from the
garage sale
railroad
out
track.
there.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. It was insane. And so you can bend the aluminum ones to fit it. I mean, I know
Mhm.
you can, people are like, "Oh, just throw rubber bands on there." And it's like, yeah, you can
Mhm.
put rubber bands on it, or you can just bend a piece of metal to hold your water bottle. Like, I don't want to be searching around the night before going, "Oh crap, where's my rubber bands?"
My
Like,
rubber band broke. Now
oh,
what?
yeah, exactly. Like, "Oh, I snapped my rubber band." Like, oh man,
Mhm.
no. I just rather like, "Oh, I'm bending a piece of metal to hold
Yep.
my water bottle." And
Yep.
what I usually do is, what I did for Chat is that these back ones had um, mix in there. Or no, they didn't have mix. Sorry, I didn't have. I had just plain water in. No, I had. Yeah, I had one mix, one plain water. That's what I did for Chat, so that if I lost one, then I would only have to worry about like, if you lost one or both, then you're only worrying about half of like trying to
Mhm.
figure out like how am I going to fuel the back half of this ride. Then, once you lose it, you can kind of plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Like you don't want
Like,
to
you
put
don't have
all of your eggs and like all of your
yeah.
nutrition is on this back thing. Like,
Like
and then you lose both bottles. Well,
yep.
you're
You're
toast.
toast. Yeah. Now
Yeah.
you're now
So
you're now you're trying to figure out how to get, enough calories through Gatorade Endurance and goos
yeah, and
and
bananas that,
bananas.
people are trying to hand you and stuff. So that's the other thing that,
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and
you
then
go
I
with the
mhm.
X-wing, right? Or super wing.
The Super Wing. The Super Wing is the Xlab Super Wing, and it's not all that different than the setup you have. It's just different, different brand and just a little bit of a probably a more bulky approach, because so the way I looked at this was, um, I wanted something that, number one, that's light and fits right behind the seat, so it didn't have any kind of drag or anything, and I think, most of these on the market are probably like that. But this one also has several different configuration options. Like you can angle the bottle a certain way. You can add on some components to like hold onto your CO2 cartridges. The one I got came with a like a little miniature bag, like a small little pouch that had a zipper closure in it, and that's where I kept my spare kit. So one of the things I thought about was, oh, I'll just put my spare kit in a water bottle, but that's going to take up one of my cage spots. Or
Mhm.
well, I could just throw it in my back pocket. Well, I could, except my tri suit didn't have back pockets. So so it's just things like that. It's like, oh, so what makes sense? Oh, this makes really good sense, and it works really well. Like the zipper pouch has Velcro and it straps in with like two different straps. I did have one training ride where it wanted to kind of wiggle its way loose, probably user error because it never happened again. But all that stuff's tucked away nice and neat. It's clean, doesn't bounce around. You don't even know it's there. And then the cages are those Gorilla cages. So I went ahead and spent a little bit extra money. And I'll tell you, talk about another gear that you got to have. Spend the money on carbon cages if or the ones that have like the ultra high grip strength. Because to your point, Travis, those railroad tracks at Chattanooga are not a joke. I mean, it was bottles everywhere, and it'll wreck your race if you're losing that stuff 10 miles into the segment. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah,
never went with the, Gorilla cages. They're like $90 a piece or whatever,
yeah. Well,
unless you buy them.
you didn't
But
have to say that.
I know.
I don't need to be
But, like,
reminded.
my aluminum bottle cages cost $12.
Well, and they work. So that's I think that's a whole
But
other
I mean,
angle of this.
yes,
Like,
yes,
what's the value? The value side
these
of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
these Gorilla cages, not only do they, I mean, they look nice, like, don't get me wrong, they look freaking amazing, and these
Mhm.
pictures don't do them justice. I mean, they
No, they
look
are
really
nice.
nice. And they do hold water bottles, like, they are grippy.
Well,
So yes, like, if I'm, played a scratcher and I won $200, yeah, I'd definitely buy me 2 of those for
well,
sure.
I don't know if you heard Travis, but, if you look fast, then you are fast.
I've heard it. I don't look fast. I don't think anybody has ever said, "Man, you look fast."
Oh my gosh, it's how I think I look versus how I really look. So we won't get
Oh,
into that's a
yeah.
whole other thing. But no, I think again, look, let's face it, especially tri gear is not cheap. I
No.
mean, nothing about triathlon gear is cheap, and bike gear in general is not cheap. But I think when you put those three letters of tri in front of this, it's like it adds on 50% automatically. I mean, most of the stuff, the materials are super cheap. Like this is stamped out aluminum framing, right? Like
Yep.
I get it. Somebody invested the money to do all this stuff. That's great. But like this particular one, just base cost, I think is like $120, and like yours was like $75.
Yep.
I'm going to go on a limb and say that there's a huge margin built into this,
Yep.
and they are making a lot of cash on each one they sell. And good for them. No, not upset at all about that. Other than it is a bit expensive and it's a bit of an investment, so it's why it's important. Like if you're going to spend the money, find something that works and don't miss because there's a lot of junk gear out there. And I'll tell you, like these are things like we've had from our experience. It's not junk gear; it works. Again, not sponsored by any of these guys. It'd be nice if we were, but we're not. And it's good. it's good gear that's been proven through experience. And if you're whether you're getting started or you're looking to make a change in some things, maybe this will give you a couple ideas to find a few things that'll help you out.
Yeah, like so speaking to Danny's, I've had these access cages that are $14. They have launched bottles
Hmm.
just on my regular bike.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's we've there's these side loaded ones. They won't launch the bottle as long as it's not all the way full.
Hmm.
So as long
So you
as
got to
you
drink
drink
half of it
about
and
it,
put it
yeah,
away.
drink about half of it and it won't fall out.
That's
So
fun.
I've had experience, and it's nothing to say that like it's just the where we are. The roads that we ride on are not pristine, super smooth. So in most other places these might work for you, but if you need it to hold, and that's the spend the money or do the due diligence of making sure your stuff works. So,
Yep.
but yeah.
Cool. What other gear comes to mind?
Oh, this is the thing that you sold us all on. This
Yeah.
baby.
The RumbleRoller is what it's called, and I found this. It's an Amazon buy. I'm sure they probably sell them outside of Amazon, and I think there's a bunch of varieties of this type of thing. It's if you're not watching the video, it's basically a hard plastic or some type of plastic like material, a ball that's got these little sort of pyramid spikes that come out of it, and sort of cone shaped spikes. So I got this because we were just getting into the it's like the build of our marathon training for or the marathon for triathlon, but we were really starting to pick up the run volume as part of the training plan. And I kept noticing like I had this pain in my left side and my hip and my glute area, and I'm sure it was probably just poor some muscle imbalances, or I just probably slacked on some strength training. I'm sure there was some reason that it's my fault for why it hurt. So I went around looking for relief, and I found this thing. I'm like, because I kept trying like the lacrosse ball, I tried the softball, I tried the rollers, I tried the Theragun, like nothing could seem to really get in there. And these little things are the devil, I'm telling you, because gets right into that spot where that pain is at the source, and it hurts so good. It just hurts so good. Like all you can do is just sit there and like just you can feel the blood kind of rushing back into the spot where you need it. So I, you know, you I told the group that we were all training together, I kind of told you all about it, and it was like $25. It's like, hey, for $25 and you can do free returns, it's worth a shot. And so
Yeah,
I still
that
use
thing
this thing.
has
Yeah.
yep, that thing has, freed my hamstrings many a time. So
Yeah.
if you're, trying all your, normal recovery routines and and nothing seems to get there, the foam roller doesn't. I even have a foam roller that's, like, got spikes on it
Mm,
too, and sometimes those are just a little too big to get into those kind of, like, deeper sections or the smaller, like, kinda twingy areas.
mhm.
This thing does the trick for sure.
Yeah.
It can get in there for oh man, and it's about the size of a lacrosse ball too.
It is. Yeah.
So
Yeah, but don't be fooled. It will not feel good the first time. Like you got to be real, you got to ease into it because
yeah,
I know like a couple of folks that we know had tried it out, and I'm sure they probably just kind of went right into it like a
yeah,
lacrosse ball. And
you can't go ham on it.
you cannot you'll get up as fast as you sat down. That's for sure. So
Yeah. So all right, here's
what else you got?
the I got Aero socks. You can use these for triathlon or gravel. Um, I,
Oh, hang on. Aero socks.
yeah, Aero socks. I love Aero socks. I mean, if you're gonna spend $20 on a pair of socks, right?
Yeah,
You can spend 38 on a pair of Aero
Aero
socks and just
socks.
get
Yeah.
aerodynamic,
Do
gains.
you get $18 worth of speed for the difference? I'm just curious.
I would imagine so. You know, I
No.
I
How
don't know what
much
this
how much
they
do they
say
weigh?
they are saying the savings of these is, a handful of watts.
Mhm.
So,
You I'm giving you a
45.
hard time. I'm giving you a hard time about this, but I've eyed these too. And
Yeah.
so maybe tell us a little bit about like how like when you because I mean I've seen you wear them, and well, here's a funny story about Unbound. I don't know if we'll get to that today, but
Oh,
um
yeah, and the
but yeah,
sock
so
joke, yeah, from those
yeah.
guys.
So what's so like really, I mean, you put them on the first time. I mean, they're on your top gear list. So like what did you notice about them? Because I mean, I kind of laughed at it first, but I think you might kind of be onto something here, And so maybe give us a little bit like what do you think?
So my thing is that you're wearing you're doing an event that lasts 8 hours, right? And
Okay.
so just and I was just thinking about it. If I'm just gonna have regular socks versus, let's say, aerodynamic socks, right?
Hmm.
I have to wear socks anyways. So I might as well wear something that maybe could give me a benefit. I don't know.
Hmm.
So and then so I bought them for a season, and the only bad thing that I can say about them is my calf is like an upside down pyramid. It really kind of pushes these socks down around my
Mm.
ankle. Like, for some reason, my cankles don't hold them up. And so I do have to get like a spray adhesive, um, a medical adhesive. It's like liquid bandage, and you just spray it on, and then you roll the sock up
I'm
on it.
I'm just I'm just picturing you like spraying your cankles
You've
down
seen
with
it.
I know,
You've
it's
been in
so
the same
funny.
room with me.
You
So
you
you're
literally
like looking over, like,
you
"What are you doing?" And I'm
you
like, "I gotta
literally
spray my
smuggled
sock to myself."
you smuggled out some medical spray adhesive and you're and it's
Yep.
like, "What are you doing over there?" You like but, that's pretty funny. But they didn't move. I mean, that adhesive did it. Adhesive should be on the Top Gear list because it did its job. Like,
Yeah, I
it
went
did
the
not
whole mudbound last year without my socks falling down. So
you
it was some
you were the
good
only
adhesive.
one.
The only one. It was, but I wrote it for open range, and you know, the, my thinking is like, you can't really, like, you could wear like a aerodynamic kit, but the problem with that is there's usually not pockets.
Mhm.
There's, the storage issue becomes a thing, so you try to find the, like, tightest fitting kit that you can. You try
Yeah.
to make these aero gains because you're going to be out like 17 hours, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
let's say it saved me, I don't know, 20 minutes. That's 20 minutes less on a 17-hour day, like, for $18. That's well worth it for
I
me.
would put this I'd put this in that category of it's I think you nailed it. Like you gotta wear socks anyway. It's not like you're adding additional layers hoping it works. Like you gotta wear socks. So you know what? Even if it's a placebo effect and it makes you think you're going faster and so you feel better, like it's almost like, okay, I mean, it's probably worth the investment. And to your point, even if it's a micro gain on a 15-hour to 20-hour effort is that's gonna add up. That's not a I mean, it's not bad logic. I don't know if they work or not, but it's
Yeah,
not
it's
bad logic.
basically, it's
That's
not going to
pretty
be
good,
worse than wearing a pair of socks.
right? It
Like,
can't be worse.
it can only be better.
Good
Like, if
logic.
yeah, if it's
And
like,
for the price
yeah,
ain't that bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, I give you a
yeah,
hard time about it because it's fun to tell the medical adhesive stuff, but it's
yeah,
actually I think it's a good idea. So,
yeah. And so I just, I wore those, and of course, yes, for open range they were perfect. I didn't, it wasn't muddy, so they just, I wore them like normal, and
mhm.
they worked like normal socks.
Yep.
Then we had Mudbound, and basically they were covered in mud, and everybody on the comment section after Mudbound was like, "Oh, I saw all these people wearing Aero socks. I wonder how well that worked out for you." And it's like, bro, I had to wear socks anyways.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't really matter. Like, "Oh, it's raining, better not wear my Aero socks." Like,
Look at that
doesn't matter.
idiot wearing socks. I can't believe he's wearing socks.
Look at that
Like,
guy.
yeah,
He's
right?
Look at that guy wearing shoes, Like, look at that guy
Hope
wearing
your shoes
bicycling
didn't get
shoes, and
muddy.
he's walking through the mud. What a dumbass.
Well, it's funny, and that I think everybody was just, everybody that was in that part of the comments section was just bitter about it being muddy, but whatever. So no, I think this was good though. I mean, it's good. Yeah, you never know. I think it'd be interesting. I would love to do like I'd love to know what the marketing materials like. Do they actually put these through a wind tunnel and all that? I'd love to see that,
Dude,
but
I'm
I'm sure
sure
they did.
there's somewhere that you can get, 4.5 watts at 40
Hmm.
kph, 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
basically,
That's not.
I'll cut that in half and say, it's 2 watts for my, 15 miles
Hey,
an hour.
guys in the pros over at over at Perry Niche just wore crazy looking space helmets so they could save a couple of watts. So
Yeah,
who am I to sit here and complain?
right.
I'd take a couple of watts. So you have to,
Yeah.
yeah. So cool. What else you got? Anything else?
Same
Oh,
thing with
sleeves. Sleeves.
triathlon.
Yeah, yeah.
I think these will save you more because your calf is so much, they don't
More
have
surface
the
area.
yeah,
Yep.
you have more surface area. So I
Yeah.
wore these, and you can wear these under your wetsuit
Mm,
if
yeah.
it's a wetsuit legal race, and then you can just hop on the bike and because we're triathletes, we don't wear socks. Just only when we ride gravel. Just kidding. I wore socks. Like
I
that's
was
just
like, I
wrong.
wore socks. I don't know. I know. I'm not. I guess
So
I'm not pro enough, but that's okay. I'm cool with
yeah,
that.
no.
So.
But yes, especially in triathlon where you have an aerodynamic bike and you spend all
Mhm.
this money on this, and I have an aerodynamic kit and an aerodynamic helmet. I might as well have an aero calf.
Yeah.
And I spent, you spend time getting your position right. So I'm like, for 30 bucks, just make a, little bit more of a, uh, aerodynamic savings. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just free speed basically.
Well, I can tell
So
you, you finished ahead of me on the bike last year, and so I mean, you were faster than me anyway last year, but so you can say these helped for sure. So.
yeah, I think these did really well. I mean,
No,
yeah,
I think you're right though. I think the calf sleeves, combined with the socks, but I can definitely understand the logic behind the calf sleeves. And do they have that? They have like a little bit of compression too, right? So they probably help.
yeah,
Like I know a lot of runners like to wear calf sleeves just for running,
yep,
and I have not. It's something I do need to try, but I assume that it's compressive enough that it gives you that extra benefit and that extra support that you probably need during the long run too.
yeah. I didn't do any training with calf sleeves running, so that would be something if I was going to do like a 70.3.
Hmm.
I would try running
Try
in
them out.
these and see how that would work out. They're just the standard VeloToze
Hmm.
calf sleeves. You can get them on Amazon, but just trying them out, making sure there's no weirdness that happens to
Yeah,
my running form with calf sleeves. And then if that was the case, then it would
yeah,
be something that would add to that 73 or
yeah.
70.3 distance. So
Yep, for sure. All right.
all right, now
Any other top gear?
I think that's about it for Top Gear for sure.
What about gear that you don't have you wish you had? Anything on the list for that?
I would say, um, I would not really necessarily an orange mud, but like a frame bag. I just haven't seen the right frame bag.
Mm,
Um, I know Apidura makes one that's
mhm.
like that half frame bag,
Yep.
that I could put on there, and then maybe I could get rid of pack when it gets really hot. Because the one thing I know happens to me is I get stupid hot when
Mhm.
when the temperature gets above 100. I just start melting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've got one of those Apidura frame bags, or it's like the half frame bag, and since I ride a kid's bike, it doesn't really fit that well. But that's the running joke. So, but it is a nice bag, and I think for me, I've struggled with frame bags a little bit, and it's probably just because maybe I just don't have very good bike skills, and I'll admit that that's okay. But like sometimes those zippers can be tough to open. And
Hmm.
like again, I mean, maybe you're not supposed to be trying to open it while you're riding, but we always like to kind of go with slow miles are better than no miles. And if I'm stopped, jacking around with a zipper, then I'm probably not going very far.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah, but I think that if it's something, I think a bag like that makes sense. And I think I've also got the bag that goes in the back too. Apidura makes some good stuff. I
Yep.
definitely like their gear, and it's pretty lightweight and everything too. So yeah, it's a good idea, and I think what I've seen too is more and more there's a lot of places that'll make like custom gear bags, like frame bags.
Yep.
You tell them the bike you have or the dimensions of the triangle, and then you can like have it customized for a certain type of bladder, or if you want to put certain gear in it or whatever, and have certain amount of zippers. Like I'm sure that's a pretty expensive route to go, but I mean, if, when we're talking about doing some of these ultra things, maybe the next couple of years, that I mean, frame bag is just going to be a necessity. You got to have it. You got to
Yeah.
have the extra storage.
You have to be able to carry, batteries,
Hmm.
lights,
Hmm.
chargers for all your stuff. So
Yeah.
you just, extra food.
Yep.
Yeah, you just have to be able to, put that stuff on. And so like you just need to figure out where all of that's going to go. And
Yeah.
So part of the equation. So yeah, I would say like I think a decent frame bag that I could get behind and use is probably one of the piece of gear that I want that I just haven't really got around to researching and figuring out what I actually kind of need or want
Mhm.
to use there. What about you, Danny?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I tend to kind of, dabble with so many different things. I mean, there's not a lot of gear that's just sitting out there. I'm going, gosh, I sure wish I had that. I think that, on the kind of on the front of the bags, I've tried the different bar bags and I always struggle with them. Like I understand like they're great to just, have some extra storage, but for the rides that we typically do, it just doesn't they don't really work well for me. And but no, I think, for the most part, I mean, when it comes to the gear, I think it's gonna my wish list is gonna grow dramatically when we start talking about the, um, you know, Colorado trail rides or the Great Great Divide mountain bike ride, those sorts of things, because I don't have a lot of that gear, and so I have a feeling a lot of these bags are gonna be on the list for sure. And then
Yeah.
on top of that, you got, some of the, you got to carry, a few extra tools, a few extra spare parts, and you got to fit all that stuff somewhere. So, yeah, I don't really have a lot on the wish list right now. Unless there's like the gear that just is guaranteed to make me a faster rider with not much more effort
Yeah.
than
Cool.
exists. So, yeah. So, what about some of the mistakes we've made? So, just like, not to knock out. I don't want to, be negative on anybody, because there's a lot of people out there trying to make money on this stuff and really really good marketing. So, you get kind of convinced into buying some stuff, and
Yeah.
and I I'm kind of embarrassed to admit. I mean, I bought this little thing called a chain lift, and I got suckered into an Instagram ad. Early on as I was kind of getting into cycling, and if you're watching on the video, you can see the advertisement. It looks like it's in slow motion. It's like, no, no, that's the real speed, because I got to be real careful. This thing is like real herky jerky, and the contraption that so what it is, it hooks onto your to the area around your rear derailleur, goes right into that. There's a hole back there, and it's got these different adapters, and it hooks onto that. And then you got to be a PhD engineer to be able to figure out like how to fold and maneuver this thing just enough. And the payoff of doing all that figuring out is that it lifts the chain up off the cassette, and that's it.
And then you can drop the wheel out, I
You can
guess.
drop the wheel and you can put it on your trainer, and you can, like they show you put it in a car. I'm like, you put that thing in the back of a car, and that lift thing is coming unsprung and it's flying everywhere. You got pieces of parts everywhere. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah, it
So
just looks like, because that rear derailleur is
it,
basically a spring, and it's
it
just
is.
it's just holding that lift
It
thing
is.
under tension, and if it moves the
Yeah.
slightest, it's
Yeah.
becoming a
That's
little
right. I mean,
rocket.
look how easy I can
It's
I can
gonna
just
launch
wash my bike.
just
Yeah.
launch my bike.
Yeah,
It's
and look, so you're probably going like, "Well, why the heck did you buy something like that?" Like, I bought it because I thought, well, it'd probably be good for diagnostics, right? Like, if you think you got some brake rub on the back wheel, and it's like, just take the chain off. It's not that hard. Use a quick link, take the chain off, and it's a piece of cake. If you don't know how to take your chain off, you better learn, because guess what? One of these days you might have to take your chain off out in the field. So you better learn
Yep,
how to do it. It's not a bad technique to know. So
yep.
anyway, I think this was a big mistake. I definitely would not buy it again. I applaud the people that are making money off of this. They did a great job with marketing. They did a really good job of targeting newer cyclists on Instagram. So that's how they
Yeah.
got me. And in concept, I like the idea, but in reality and practicality, it's just not a good piece of gear. So yeah. Oh well, can't
Nice.
win them all.
Nope.
What
Well,
else? What
here's
else you got here?
mine. I got one of these, like, TENS units. It shocks
Wait,
your
wait, wait.
muscles.
Like, is this something that shocks you?
Yeah. And
Wait,
I
you
used it.
bought you bought something to shock yourself?
Yeah. Oh my god, and it shocked me so like, even on the low setting, it's just like, "Oh, I'm gonna use this for recovery to get my muscles to
Uh,
recover," and it would
muscle
shock and be
stim.
like, and I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Ow, ow, 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 ow." Just be like, just shocking the crap out of me for some whatever reason, I don't know, and I was diligent. I tried, like, I don't know, probably like a couple of months, and like every time I used it, my muscles ended up being way sorer than they
Mm,
would have been if I just left them there, and
yeah.
it just was not they're like,
Oh,
oh, use it for massage, use it for recovery. The
mhm.
athletes use it. It's just
Yeah, I
like
gotta see, like, what athletes use this? Oh, okay.
Sam
Oh, Sam
Long.
Long? Sam Long, I see, that's how you got
But
bought
I
into it,
mean,
okay.
yeah, so I mean, like, I for some people maybe it works. Like
Mm,
I really think that, being and this is my own superstition, but like gingers don't do well with electricity. So that's just what I'm gonna go with, and that's what I'm sticking to. And it's just like I can handle cold, totally fine. Heat, yes, I get a little too hot, but I can manage and keep going. But electricity, no. I've
no.
never been a fan.
No. No.
Not a
Yeah.
fan.
Wow.
So, yeah. So it's one of those things that I thought like, "Oh, this will help me recover better," or this will help me like, I can work a muscle group, like I can work my abs out,
Mhm.
and kind of like lay
I'll
on the
get a
couch
six pack.
and get a six pack and lay on the couch and get six pack abs. And it's like that did not happen. Even how much I even wanted it to happen, it didn't work. So
Uh,
I just found out in a couple of months of trying to, use this thing that it just finally was not even on the lowest setting,
just didn't do it.
just didn't work. It just didn't it
Mm,
made my muscles too sore. So
that's too
there
bad.
you go.
Well, it's part of it. You can't win them all, man.
But
And,
I mean, that's part of it. You go out and you try stuff and you're like, yeah, this didn't work. And so you just
yeah,
move on. And
yeah,
it like I said, it may work for other people and that's totally fine. I wish them all the best. It just didn't work. It didn't work for me.
yeah. I'd be interested in like what some of the other gear out there that people have tried. I mean, you see all these ads on Instagram, you see all this stuff on, maybe on TikTok or Twitter, any of those things. Like you get these ads targeted at you, especially if what's the old thing? Like like I like to like use my wife's phone so I can put in like new road
Oh
bike
yeah.
and new bike
And
wheels
then it
and
starts
new
showing them.
start
Yeah.
showing up. Yeah. So she'll start getting targeted ads. You'd be like, I think I should buy some new road bike wheels. I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
think you should. That's a good idea.
I think you
I'm
should
looking at
definitely.
these Rovals right now.
Yeah.
But I think I think that, there's a lot of really good marketing out there, and then we'll get into this in another session, another podcast, but, like, especially on the supplement side. I mean, there is
Yes.
so much marketing out there, and it's just out of control, and it comes back to what we started with. It's like people are looking for what can I use to get the quick gain? And, you can buy a little bit of speed from time to time. I mean, speed like speed on the course, not like other kind of speed. So, don't want
I
that.
mean, you can buy that too, but I
You can
mean,
buy that too, but I wanna stay away from that.
it's going to
But
help out with your gravel and triathlon.
that's right. Might end up in the hospital.
Yeah.
But but, um but seriously, like, it's easy to sort of fall into that trap, like, "Oh, I can just get my I can if I could just do this and I'll drink this supplement or I'll get my nutrition through this program instead of just using cheap sugar water," like, guys, it's marketing. And, like, I'm not a scientist. I'm sure that these folks have a lot more research behind things than I do, but, like, sometimes you just gotta use common sense and just don't get bought up in the hype of these things, and we're all guilty. I mean,
Yeah.
I got my story, you got yours, and we got 100 more just like
Yeah.
it, I'm sure.
I mean,
So,
I thought it was gonna make me faster. I'd be like, who
yeah.
doesn't wanna, like, work their
Who doesn't
abs
wanna
out while they're
who
laying on
doesn't
the
wanna shock
couch?
themselves all day long? I mean, who
Exactly.
You know, I was sticking the fork in the light socket, but that got a little bit too intense, so I decided to buy this device instead.
Yeah,
So,
and
yeah,
so
I hear you.
yeah, but I mean, it like I tell you, man, um, it would shock me and, like, even like I said, on the lowest setting, and it felt like it was, like, electrocuting me for sure.
Mhm.
Like, it hurt so bad because it would
Yeah.
make all my muscle fibers fire at the same
At the
time,
same time. Yeah, so it's
and
like,
it's
I
just like
mean,
it's yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah,
No
so
no pain, no
eventually
gain.
eventually I kind of figured out that that's probably not the best thing, so but,
Well,
yeah,
that's
like,
alright.
I mean, we all want, that, the quick thing, but eventually you just if you've been around the sport long enough and you've been around doing all this stuff, there's no quick way. It's always just the long. It's a grind, and you
Yeah.
just keep going.
It's funny because you go to these events or you go to especially gravel, I think, more than anything, 'cause I think you see this a lot more at gravel, where you get like the crusty old dudes, or you get these like incredibly strong, like riders who are doing like a single speed or something like that, and they're the ones that have like the least amount of gear. They're the ones that have like the like they probably have the same bike they rode 15 years ago. They just figured out how to put different type of, equipment on it, gearing or whatever. And it's just like, why can't I be like, I think of all the money I could save. But it's like they don't, a lot of these guys don't buy into the hype, and they just go out and do it. And then they're kicking my butt all over the course. I'm like, gee, Merry Christmas. Like, if I just had carbon wheels.
Yeah.
No, that's not the answer. The answer is go out and do it and work. Put the work in. You'll get faster. So
No, but I mean, and they'll tell you too. They made the same mistakes that we did too.
Sure.
You just try to learn better and faster and sooner, and that's kind of like what this podcast is about too. Is just sharing our experiences of just learning, and
Yeah,
I'm sure there's a better way to fuel for Ironman. And
good
I'm
chance of it.
willing to hear it. But I found what works for me, and it's easy for me, and I can remember it, and I can execute, and in the end, that's part of doing these big events is it the plan that makes you successful is the plan that you can execute.
That's right. That's right.
So
That is a great way to put it. The plan that makes you successful is the plan you can execute. It's a great line. Good work.
there you go. Woo. It only took us what, eight episodes to get one.
Yeah. Tip of the day
Nice.
right there.
Let's
I like
go.
it.
All right, man. Well, I guess next week we got a special guest, Eric from Open Range. She's going to be with us, and Serena, I'm
super
sure, will be
excited.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, if anybody has any questions, definitely email the podcast. If not, then me and Danny and Serena will be grilling Eric on how we can, do better at this race.
Looking forward to it.
All right, man.
All right. Suffer complete.
Yeah. Thanks for listening. If you like what you heard, please comment, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you have ideas for topics, questions, or would like coaching, please email suffersooner@gmail.com. And remember, sometimes you just have to suffer sooner.